Our top focus this evening, big tech is betting big on artificial intelligence and thousands of jobs are on the line. Amazon has said it is slashing 14,000 jobs or 4% of its workforce as part of an effort to boost spending on artificial intelligence. The company says the move is aimed at making the organization leaner, less bureaucratic, but hiring in areas like AI and technology continues. According to multiple reports, Amazon's layoffs could eventually rise to 30,000. Earlier this month, Google reportedly laid off over 100 employees in design-related roles as part of its push to accelerate AI. Meta, the parent company of Facebook, informed employees that 600 roles will be cut from its superintelligence labs through hiring continues in other AI teams. Last month, Salesforce cut 4,000 customer support jobs as AI agents take over routine tasks. Accenture reportedly laid off 11,000 employees across its global workforce. UPS revealed that it has cut 48,000 jobs since last year as machine learning made some roles redundant. Back in India, Tata Consultancy Services laid off 6,000 employees globally this year and plans to cut another 6,000. Meanwhile, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang believes AI will change everyone's jobs and boost productivity. He also said NVIDIA is hiring more people. The company is investing $1 billion in Nokia, which the Finnish firm says will go towards developing its AI initiatives. Analysts say the layoffs may be the first sign of pressure on these companies to justify the massive AI investments. The huge AI bets have fueled market enthusiasm and sent tech valuations skyrocketing. However, they have also raised concerns that the AI boom could be turning into a bubble. Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates has downplayed these fears but said some investments will be dead ends. Meanwhile, ARK Invest CEO Kathy Wood said there could be a reality check on AI valuations, but rejected the idea that we are in an AI bubble. To discuss this and more, we are joined on the show with Bhaskar Chakravorti, the Dean of Global Business and Chair of Digital Planet at the Fletcher School at Tufts University. Professor Chakravorti, thank you very much for joining us. What's now happened in this latest episode of layoffs related to the AI push? Are we going to see more of this and perhaps at a faster pace in the weeks and months to come?
So thank you for having me, Parikshit. I think this is a really important and timely question. And it's also a difficult question to answer, not only because we're right in the eye of the AI hurricane, as it were, but it's not the only hurricane that's hitting either the US economy or the global economy. There are a few other hurricanes that are colliding. One is the Trump hurricane and the associated trade uncertainties and all the issues relating to trade disruptions, disruptions in global supply chains and so on and so forth, and several other factors that are in play. You noted, several major layoffs being announced by a number of different companies, and it's interesting to think about, say, the two out of the many that you mentioned. One is Amazon, which is obviously the big news from yesterday, and UPS, which laid off an even larger number of people. Now, UPS's reasons for laying off such a large number, over 40,000 workers, is partly due to technology and AI, but partly due to the fact that Amazon itself is picking up a lot of its own delivery infrastructure and potentially eating into UPS's business. So there are a number of different factors in play, and there's a third hurricane that has to do with a potential recession coming. And so there is a slowdown that might be around the corner. However, AI-related layoffs are in the future. It is absolutely going to happen. I have no doubt about it, not only because there is an opportunity for companies to use the technology to substitute for human work, but also because they're facing a lot of pressure from analysts who are asking, why aren't you cutting your workforce because technology can do the same thing? So they all feel under pressure to actually show that they're doing something about it.
Right. There is also a fear that we are in a bubble territory. In fact, some analysts have said that some of these investments could go bust because the valuations are just too high and unsustainable. To what extent will you agree with this analysis?
I think if we do the arithmetic, it's very clear that we are in bubble territory. OpenAI, perhaps the kind of the single most prominent player in the large language models, the AI space, they have sealed up close to $1 trillion of deals just this year. And by 2029, we are expected to spend in total about 2.8 trillion, that's trillion with a T, in the build out of AI infrastructure and the associated energy infrastructure. That's a lot of money chasing after a technology whose value still has not been proven. Yes, a lot of us, in fact, many of us, have jumped on these products and having a lot of fun, playing with ChatGPT and its siblings. However, very few of us are actually paying for it. Consumers are paid, about $12 billion. That sounds like a lot of money, but not much when you're considering a total investment of close to $3 trillion. And enterprises have not really paid that much either. They paid, about another $13 billion in terms of revenues. A recent study by MIT showed that the companies they surveyed, 95% of them saw no value in the AI pilots that they had run. So I think the big issue is who's going to pay for all this, and that is where there's a concern about the bubble. However, we are seeing, as I mentioned, pressure on companies to show that they are taking account of how these technologies could displace, particularly white-collar jobs, jobs that can be done to some degree of competence by the machine. So there is going to be pressure of companies to actually start replacing workers with the technology.
Right. Also, how much does this have to do with the economic slowdown related to the tariff uncertainty? The whole world is gripped with the tariff uncertainty. There is geopolitical uncertainty as well. Consumer demand is questionable. Export growth has a question as well. Do you think in the midst of all of this, it's not just the push towards AI in the boardrooms where directors are telling CEOs, putting more pressure on them to cut jobs, do more on AI. It's also an economic slowdown that we're looking at, where there is just not so much demand, either domestically, but also in global markets.
Yeah, there's no question that there's an economic slowdown, even though that's not necessarily showing up in the data. But the data always is, kind of lags the reality. And for many companies, they're seeing a slowdown either here already or around the corner. So in anticipation, they are not only cutting back on hiring, but they are also laying people off. So as I mentioned, there are multiple factors, multiple hurricanes that are colliding at the same time.
Right. So today we've just seen NVIDIA's market cap and valuation surpassing $5 trillion US. Now that's a big feat. And of course, this is centered around the AI revolution in a big way. How much of this AI rally do you see as sustainable in the months to come? How much of this will see a correction?
Yeah, so this is tied to the earlier discussion around are we in a bubble? So as I mentioned, the arithmetic suggests that the amount that is being spent on the technology is not being justified by the revenues. Now, the nature of the bubble and how this might play out and what kind of impact it has on companies like NVIDIA is kind of interesting to consider. And this is in many ways unprecedented. What we are seeing is that the investment is largely being borne by deep-pocketed big tech companies that have not only large cash reserves and very healthy balance sheets, but they also have products to sell to the companies in which they are investing. So if I'm investing in an OpenAI or an Anthropic and I'm NVIDIA, I have semiconductors that are being used by these model developers. So it is a case of sort of a circular financing model. And the more I invest in the AI innovators, the more those innovators are demanding use of my chips. So NVIDIA's value keeps going up. And so this is the kind of the funny money go around that we're experiencing right now in the industry. And it's not just NVIDIA. You see Microsoft kind of in a similar situation where their cloud services are, demand for that is going up because, they are investing in AI innovators who then, want the cloud services and data centers and so on. So NVIDIA's stock keeps going up largely because, they have the highest performing chips and everybody is chasing power. And it's unclear what the purpose of the power is, but most of the players are worried that if they get off this train, they'll be left behind. So everybody wants to be on the train. And NVIDIA, for the moment, is seeing its stock go through the roof. And at some point, the train has to stop. And that's when the question, the question is, who's going to get hurt?
I would also like to ask you about India. To what extent is AI-related job displacements going to impact the Indian economy? You've said CEOs, managing directors, chairmen of companies are under a lot of pressure to be on the AI train and not be off it. They would rather invest a lot of money, be on the AI direction. It's like a fear of losing out right now. But on an economy like India, which sectors are likely to see the greatest amount of impact on job displacements?
So I think the biggest hit to the Indian sector, the various sectors in India, are going to be no doubt in the IT sector, in the sectors, these are not necessarily big industries, but small entrepreneurs who are in graphic design, visualization, and so on. People who are in low-level coding, and of course, all the companies that are involved in back office services. These are jobs that are increasingly going to be taken over by the machine. They are already headed in that direction. So unfortunately, these are also the sectors that have seen growth in recent years in India. And we are now seeing a lot of pressure from corporate headquarters in North America and Western Europe to replace the number of people who are engaged in these kinds of services, IT services, programming, graphic design, marketing support, and back office, customer service representatives. Many of those jobs are going to go away. And there's no question that AI is going to be, right now it's not a perfect substitute, but it is a good enough substitute. And we're seeing a lot of pressure on companies to, cut back on people hired for these purposes. And all these sectors are going to take a hit in India. Now, the one sector that might see potential growth are the ones that are developing the global capability centers in different parts of India, where they are going to see a growth in staff that are trained in being complements to AI. And there is a lot of potential for people's productivity to go up as they become better and better at essentially partnering with the machine in delivering the kinds of support services that many of the companies need. So I think there's going to be a growth in GCCs, but much of the IT and back office services sectors are going to see a significant drop in their revenues and more layoffs to come.
All right. Thank you very much, Professor Chakravorti, for joining us with those great views on the AI revolution, the AI bubble theory that is being floated by some, and why we could see more AI-related job displacements, not just in the United States, but around the world and in India. On to some other headlines.